Nobody wants to work anymore. If you ask a lot of people, working a 9 to 5 is overrated. Homelessness is the new freedom, and materialism might as well make you a devil worshiper. Anyways, today in this video, we're going to touch on the modern downfall of society, something we just can't seem to escape. And if you personally feel like you relate to anything in this video, or you just simply like content like this, don't forget to like, comment your thoughts, opinions below, and subscribe to see my daily or per weekly uploads around here around 12 p.m. Central Time. And a huge shout out to everybody who supports me on Patreon, my channel memberships, and just everybody who overall supports my content. You can check out all the extra perks and details of all that stuff down below in the description. Now let's begin.
People cannot live like this anymore. I'm 23 years old. I have a decent paying job. I pay all my bills. I have credit card debt like everyone. But yet my account is in the negative. How the hell is my account in the negative? I make a decent living. I pay all my bills on time. I don't get it. You guys, I don't even go out like I used to anymore. If I do, I usually pregame and it's like with something cheap. Right? And then I go out and I hang out with my friends, and it's most of the time free. Right now, I'm currently extremely sick to where I can barely even move. My Wi-Fi is off, so I have to come over to Starbucks to do my work because I work remote. And I wanted to go to the doctor. I was thinking about it, but the doctor's a $50 copay. And a $50 copay for somebody who's in the negatives, I don't know what to do. I've maxed out my credit cards from my old rent because when you lose a job, what do? You have to put it on credit. You have to take out a loan.
Because what do? In America, when you're in need of money, when you're in doubt, you put it on credit. You just stack up the debt because pretty much everybody in America has some form of debt, whether that's student loans, credit cards, or payday loans, anything. Because that's the way to get by. There's so much cost here, it really doesn't matter how much you make.
Do something, so all that's maxed
The more you
out
make,
when
the
I
more
lost
you
my
need.
last job. Go to Starbucks, I have to get a drink in order to use their Wi-Fi, so I'm going to get a drink and the drink is 10 bucks. I have to ask my sister for money. Like, this is not funny, you guys.
Okay, I have a tip here. You should really hit up the library. At least my local library in this inner cities. I'm so blessed to be back in the inner city. There's so many more like comedies and different connections I have around here. They have free computer time, guests for like an hour. Maybe you'll have to pay. There's some places you have to rent for an hour, whether that's 50 cents or a dollar. From my place is free over here at my local library, and I did that the other day just to go check it out. They just like remodeled mine, so I feel like the library is a good spot because, like he just said, if you go to Starbucks or McDonald's, sometimes they make you pay for something, so you're not like just loitering or hanging out without them getting some sort of business out of you.
This is genuinely real life, and it's tough. I feel like this has to end, right? Our economy in the US has to crash. It's not normal.
In 1972, researchers at MIT concluded that society was on track to collapse by...
He said it has to crash, and and now apparently researchers said that our modern day society is on track to collapse in 2040, and apparently we are ahead of time. Is what this video right here is about to say. Uh, isn't it kind of wild to think that? I don't understand why people kind of cheer it on. I understand they think like this whole, it's gonna all reset, and that might be better off than what we're dealing with right now, but I don't think that's usually necessarily the case. We'll probably turn to a third world country before it becomes like a modern utopia. But to be honest, who knows yet? I mean, it is kind of crazy to think about how my whole life I've been raised to believe, almost brainwashed into thinking that I'm living in the modern day Rome. Like I'm living in the best of the best, number one place in the world, the US of A. And I do love my country. I am American. I am brainwashed, like I just said a second ago. But I also haven't experienced much else outside of the US, so maybe I could be kind of seeing through a colored lens.
The year 2040, a follow-up study conducted by an analyst at KPMG found that we are ahead of schedule. Advanced human civilizations have existed for, at best, 10,000 years. In that time, many great empires rose from nothing and returned to nothing, leaving behind little more than artifacts and crumbling architecture. While it's hard for historians to definitively say what caused any of these particular collapses, the determining factors tend to fall into four broad categories: political issues, social and cultural issues, environmental issues, economic issues. Any civilization that has been reduced to little more than an entry into a textbook fell through some combination of these four factors.
I love how the economic problem is at the last tier of that, when it's probably the number one here in America. It's probably what's going to make this place that's probably what's going to make this whole place collapse eventually.
Some were almost instantaneous, the great city of Pompeii succumbing to the eruption of Mount Vesuvius. Some took a few weeks. The Aztec Empire collapsed after 93 days of resistance against the Spanish. And some took centuries. 300 years separated the height of the Roman Empire with its eventual collapse.
The world as it exists right now.
300 years, think about that. I'm not sure how long it might take for us, but hopefully longer than that, because I'm not trying to completely have everything wrecked soon. At least not in my lifetime. Maybe you can call me selfish, but I want to have a peaceful ending here on this life because as far as we know, we only get one. Now this is Rainn Wilson. He played the guy in The Office. So it's just kind of we're gonna see his idea on what he thinks about the modern society and how it's makes people sick to their stomach. Him as well.
Is sick and corrupt and heading for a big fall. This is evidenced by the mental health epidemic among young people, suicidal ideation, up a third over the last 10 years, anxiety, depression affecting over 50% of young people, loneliness being a new epidemic that the Surgeon General is talking about, one of the biggest health crises of our age. It's because our systems are so broken. They're backwards. They're upside down. They're based on profit. They're based on greed. They're based on lust, superficiality. There's nothing wrong with a little bit of competition and a little bit of selfishness. But when it is running the show, literally, when every system on the planet
See, that's the thing though. He pointed out mental health, especially with some of the younger folks, and it is more common knowledge now. People do kind of acknowledge common health, or sorry, mental health, and sort of depression, anxiety, all these different things, yeah, and all the other things. Whether that's just being bipolar, being any sort of thing you might have, um, or that is out there. Versus back in the day, it was kind of looked over. Even like depression, anxiety was kind of looked over, at least from my parents' generation and their parents' generation for sure. It was just kind of suck it up, pull up your bootstraps and keep moving on forward. So, um, but with that, there also comes a cost with people getting overdiagnosed, and I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing. I mean, I think I can make a whole video about the prescription epidemic where people just solve all their problems by whatever pill they get diagnosed with, and that's its own problem. But at the same time, I do find it pretty ironic how it's nice that these things are being acknowledged, but everything comes with a cost and everything gets abused because we are humans and we never know when to stop.
healthcare to agriculture to education to our partisan political system, we're headed for a fall, and I'm scared.
Also, I said earlier how the economic fall might be the problem. I think the political thing, we are so divided now in this country. Maybe I'm just older, so now I see it more, and I actually like political problems somehow affect me, but it seems way more divided than ever before.
I am unemployable and I will never be able to get another job again. I realized this the other day about myself. I kind of knew it while I was working at companies because people would say things like, "You're kind of hard to work with. You always have really strong opinions. You always have to come up and ask questions about things." At first, I just thought I was a problem employee. Like, I always had questions. I always needed to know why. And I was always looking at how we could make things better, even if people weren't asking for solutions. But now that I've been self-employed for 18 months, I just realized that I'm not an employable person, and that's okay. Not all of us are meant to work for other people. Some of us are meant to work for ourselves and be a small business owner. Others are supposed to be entrepreneurs. Other people are supposed to be leaders in business. But you need to know this about yourself. Now that I'm running my own business, I realize it's definitely what I was made to do.
Yeah, well, good for you, man. I really hope that works out, and I really hope everybody that does try to attempt it works out for them too. I've been trying to attempt it for about a year now, and honestly, he's right though. They would rather have you just be nice little robots, just boop beep boop bop, and just go straight about your day the way they programmed you to do, and just read off your task list. You can check off all the boxes, and if you finish it sooner, they will give you someone else's task list who called in for the day because they don't follow the same system that apparently we're all supposed to. But it's kind of wild and pretty crazy to think about how it is. Um, it's a very fine line between being self-employed and unemployed. For example, I was kind of doing it like he said he was doing it for 18 months. That's about a year and a half. I've been doing it for about a year now, and some months it's amazing, and the other months I would be better off working a part-time job at Burger King or McDonald's, but it is what it is. To each their own. And I feel like if you're going to do this sort of content creation, that thing, or even sort of any online business, you really should at least be making money more than your more than your regular full time job for a few months time length longer before you just straight up quit. Or you should at least be working your job and then cut down the hours slowly until you're able to jump over and transfer to full time with your income. Because I was able to do so, but this online stuff is so wishy washy back and forth that I don't think it's necessarily worth it just to jump full in just because you feel like you might be able to do it. Because the same way that people think, just like he said, and I do think it's kind of true, some people are meant to be the CEO, some people are meant to be losers. So, and there's a lot more losers than there are CEOs. So it's a cold world out here. But it's just like the lottery. There's way more losers than winners. So if you do win, think about all the people that lost. You're playing with blood money. But either way, I do appreciate your guys' love and support over here. I would love to know your guys' thoughts and opinions down below in the comments. And if you like content like this, feel free to like, comment your thoughts, opinions below, and subscribe to see my daily or weekly uploads around here at 12 p.m. Central Time. And a huge shout out to everybody who supports me on Patreon, my channel memberships. If you want, you can DM me personally on my Patreon for $1 a month or more, and you can see these videos early before they are released to the public for $3 or more on my channel memberships. You can check out all of those details and perks down below in the description. So I will see you in the next one, and thank you for watching.